there, Boozemeisters, and welcome back to the Peach Pod After Dark. I am Jeff, and you got to have two things to win. You got to have brains, and you got to have balls. You got too much of one and not enough of the other. And joining me on the other end of the internet, my co-host.
I'm Leslie, and I can always go back to whiskey. It's been very good to me.
Whiskey's been very good to all of us.
Yes, it has.
I mean, you get a big old Cadillac out of it if you're really good at whiskey.
Okay.
Big old white Cadillac. So this week, Boozemeisters, we are discussing the 1986 nine-ball masterpiece, Color of Money, directed by Martin Scorsese, starring Paul Newman, Tom Cruise, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, Helen Shaver, and John Turturro. Memorable scene by Forrest Whitaker.
Yes.
Pretty fun moment in the movie there. Not fun for Fast Eddie Felson, but we're watching this in conjunction with season 2, episode 10, Necessity as a Mother, because Dylan plays pool, and that is bad. Whenever it's right here in every city from Chicago to Atlantic City, yes. But mostly just Chicago.
Yeah.
In this nine-ball film. And our spelling connection here is Helen Shaver. She was in an episode of TJ Hooker, and she plays Fast Eddie's girlfriend. Whatever her name is that I can't recall.
Yeah. Well, so, they didn't write her that excitingly.
No, but she was important. Like, she was important to the character and to his, like, development and his, like, anchoring. You know?
Yeah. Remind me of her when we get to Adventures in Intimacy.
Oh, for sure. There's lots of intimacy in this movie.
A lot of bad intimacy.
Stroking shafts and things and all sorts of...
Laying around half naked.
Yeah. Yep. We're definitely going to have to talk about Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio's underpants. Because they make a number of appearances in this film.
Oh, these old things?
I only wear these when I don't care who sees my ass.
Wait for you, baby.
So this is the first time you've seen Color of Money.
Yes.
Not the first time for me. I quite enjoyed this movie when I was a kid. I didn't see it like right when it came out, but I saw it, when I was in high school, I suppose. And I don't think I knew at the time that it was a sequel to another movie from like 1969 or whenever it was. Mm-hmm. The Hustler, starring Paul Newman as Fast Eddie Felson, when he's a young pool player, when he's basically the Vincent role. And you haven't seen The Hustler, correct?
No, I have not.
I've only seen it once, I think. So I think you can watch Color of Money for sure without being steeped in The Hustler. I don't know if it makes it any better or not. Like here's what I think it might do, because I didn't know this at the time and I learned it at some point later that it was a sequel. I wonder if knowing about The Hustler would have made me understand that Fast Eddie Felson was the main character in this movie. Because when I watched it when I was a kid, I thought it was about Tom Cruise. Because he's young and brash and like kinetic, like tons of energy coming off of him in this movie. And for the first 2 acts, Paul Newman is basically sitting off to the side being irritated that Vincent is showing his ass again.
Yeah.
But it's Vincent who's showing his ass. So it's like all of the action is taking place with Vince. And so I was like, this is a movie about this guy, and this guy seems pretty cool. So, like I'll dance around with the pool cue, and, nine ball's fun, and he's the one who's playing. Eddie just sits there and watches people play pool.
He gets to play eventually.
He does, but not for the first couple acts. And when he finally does play, he loses to Forrest Whitaker pretty bad.
Because he needs to fix his eyes.
He does, and
which
that is
did not make very clear. Like they did it in a strange way
yeah.
because I was like,
They
where did
mentioned it
this
a
come
couple of
from?
times early on, but it's not. It
Oh,
doesn't drive the plot at all. But he does say it like that. He just can't see anymore or whatever. Um,
yeah, they
and
did that
that
a little bit better in Seabiscuit.
because the word "see" was in the title.
No, I'm just saying, like, you at least saw whenever he lost his eyesight, and, like,
Mm,
again, not that I don't know if that would have been worth adding in, and this is a minor detail, but although I guess not really, because, it ends up becoming what helps him get better and get back in
right.
the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And they do mention it at least once early on that he's just got his eyesight has gone to shit. But
Mm,
that's not why Eddie's not playing pool anymore.
yeah.
So here's what happens in this movie. Fast Eddie Felson is no longer playing pool. He's a liquor salesman and kind of a out of the back of his trunk liquor salesman where he's selling you the cheap shit but putting Jim Beam labels on it or whatever. But he's doing pretty well
Yeah.
because as the initial movie tells us, he's a hustler. He's a pool hustler. He's a whiskey hustler. He's out there getting it done because he's a good observer of human beings and also knows how to stack things in his favor. So he's been out there making it happen. But we meet him at the beginning, and he's trying to sell bullshit whiskey to his girlfriend, which we don't quite realize is his girlfriend at the time. Like there's some kind of
Sure.
flirt back and forth, but like I thought, you know, like he's just talking his way in. But I
Yeah.
think that there was a pre-existing relationship there, and he hears Tom Cruise break from behind him, and that
Oh,
crack
yeah.
gets his attention, and you can see it in his face, like, oh, that just woke something up that
Mm-hmm.
had been dormant for a long time. And the specifics of the dormancy are the uh, domain of the hustler. But just all we need to know at the beginning of this movie is he used to be a pool player and he's not anymore because he got in on the wrong side with some people. And better off that he stays away. And also his eyesight has sort of gone to shit. So
Yeah.
he's not in this world anymore. But the sound of the rack breaking behind him like fires something up in him. And so he decides he's going to mentor this kid and teach him. He doesn't need to teach him how to play pool because Vincent can play pool. He's a great pool player. But what he needs to teach him is how to make money playing pool,
Mm.
which is not the same as being the best at playing pool. It is being the best at telling a story to get someone else's money on the table so you can walk out with it and not get your ass beat like you're Dylan McKay or like you're Vincent. I mean, Vincent needs to be taught this lesson because he's an idiot and gets his ass kicked quite a bit.
Yep.
Um, Over the course of them trying to travel to Atlantic City and make a bunch of money and build the right kind of reputation for Vince before he goes into this big old pool tournament, uh, Vince keeps not listening, keeps doing dumb shit, keeps taking out the Balabushka when he's really not supposed to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Beating the biggest swinging dick in the bar and chasing out the money. Like Vincent just he won't fucking listen
He's an idiot.
and keeps doing stuff wrong. And Eddie gets to a point where I think he says to himself, "I can do this without this kid. I'm good enough to play, and I'm way smarter. I
Mm.
can get out there and do this on my own." And then he has that Forrest Whitaker scene where, which I don't know that I ever understood it, and I still don't really like. Is he? Does he get hustled, or
Yeah.
is he just continuing to throw money at Forrest Whitaker to make trick shots? Like
I feel like he gets hustled.
I do too, but it's shot so weird that like you're just not like he doesn't ever get up. He just sits there and watches Forrest Whitaker run him. and just keeps giving him cash. Like, you feel like Fast Eddie is smart enough to know what's happening to him.
But
He
I think
knows he's
pride
getting
gets
hustled.
in his way.
You think that's what it is? Yeah, it might
Maybe
be.
maybe that's their way of showing that he was also once Vincent.
Like, did he just can't follow his own advice?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, because again, he had that moment, just like you said in the movie, where, oh, I can do this. And yes, he can,
Right.
but for some reason, they felt the story we needed. Maybe this was their callback to the first movie to show that he fucked up then too, and he was once
Right.
Vincent. Like, we're all young and stupid at some point,
Right.
until we're old and stupid. Uh,
Right. Yeah. Because he
but
thinks he's gotten past it.
yeah, I totally think I think he got hustled, and I think stupid pride just got in his way.
Yeah.
He thought he could,
And
it's like, I'm sorry.
no.
It's like when you jump back into something you haven't done in a long time and you think it's
Hmm.
just going to come back because it's like riding a bike, right?
Hmm.
Well, from someone who doesn't know how to ride a bike, I'm here to tell you nothing is ever like getting back on a bike.
Right. You know what's interesting to me? I've been thinking about that whole thing. You can. It's like riding a bike. You can always remember how to do it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Um, it's. I mean, it's true. If you ever learn to ride a bike, it's a skill you keep with you. Like, you get on a bike and you don't forget how to ride one, which is weird, right?
But it's
Like, you would have that much muscle memory
yeah.
that, like, you get on there and it's like right in there. Except for, it's not weird at all, because if you forgot how to ride a bike in between every time you rode a bike, bikes would not exist. Like, somebody would have built it and then tried it a second time and gone, well, this doesn't work, and we
Here's
would
what
not
I
have bikes.
here's what I think is weird about it. Your body is different every time you go back to whatever that muscle memory is. So, like,
Yeah.
yes, I can get back into dancing, but I know from the few times I've gotten to do a dance show in recent years that my body does not jump back the way it used to because I'm not
Uh-huh.
dancing every day like I did
Right.
for 4 years in college.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
There is a thing though, like definitely your skills atrophy over time, like
yeah.
actual skills. Um, but one thing that, like, I don't know if you've ever seen uh like a 75-year-old basketball player shoot free throws.
Wow.
If they were good at shooting free throws when they were 15, they're still great. Like Rick Mount was like one of the best free throw shooters of all time. Played for Purdue long time ago. And if you watch this guy shoot free throws
Wow.
every time, and remember we watched Blue Chips, and
Yes.
there's that scene where I can't even remember who it was that he's talking to on the basketball court while the guy's shooting free throws.
Mm-hmm.
I read that when they shot that, um, they just wanted him to like make a couple and miss one to like be able to end the scene or whatever.
Yeah.
He made like 30 in a row. Like, just
Wow.
because the motion of it, like, you don't forget this motion if you've got it built into you. For some
Mm-hmm.
reason, that's one of those skills. And Fast Eddie thinks that not only will the skill of pool playing not have atrophied, but because he's so much smarter about people now, that he
Mm-hmm.
can dominate all of these encounters that he's having.
Yeah.
But I think the thing he kind of forgets is the thing he told Vincent early on, or what he told Carmen.
Yes.
What he told Carmen early on, that your problem is right now is that I'm the unknown and he needs to be the unknown.
Mm.
And he goes into that game with Forrest Whitaker, and they're both unknowns. And so he's not even following. He's like he's in on it. He's into it for a lot of money over and over again with a guy that he doesn't know who he is.
Yeah.
And so he's had the tables turned on him, and he melts down, and he's
Yeah.
like, "Fuck it, I don't have anything I can teach anybody anymore. Here's money. You go. I'm done."
Yeah.
And that's where you realize, if you're me, that the movie's about Fast Eddie Felsen. because the third act, Vincent's not in it at all until the very
Thank
end.
God. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No. I mean, I definitely want to. I know already where you're at with cocky young guy Tom Cruise, but I do want to hear about it.
Yeah.
But Eddie gets back into it, goes to the tournament, is playing really well, comes up against Vincent, and beats him, and is like, "Fuck yeah!" Like, I'm so back. I did this. He gets glasses. That's important.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't get glasses, you're fucked. Is the moral of the story. And but then Vincent comes in later that night and gives Eddie a big old fat envelope and said, "Here's your cut. I dumped."
Like a bitch. Oh.
And
Did he
now
think that when
Eddie.
he was being nice, he had to know he was being a dick.
So maybe. Like, that's real hard to tell for me because all we know of Vincent is how fucking thick-headed he is. Like, he's really not smart.
No.
And so for him to like take this lesson, like Eddie taught him this. These are the skills he taught him. And so it's kind of like when your dog brings you a dead bird and is like, "Look what I brought you. Aren't you happy? Didn't I do a good job? Pat me on the head."
Yeah.
And that's kind of what he does. The big old stack of money is a dead fucking bird.
Oh my
And
God.
Fast Eddie is like, this.
I had the wind knocked out of me.
Sure, yeah. And so then he's out. He dumps the tournament. Like, he forfeits the next game because who the fuck cares? The tournament doesn't matter.
No.
Like, the point of this movie isn't the tournament, because he even tells Vincent, like, when he first pitches this idea, he's like, "Look, the tournament doesn't matter. It's the side rooms. It's the games in the back rooms that matter. If you get in those, you can make a lot of money."
Mm-hmm.
And so we know that it doesn't matter about the tournament. We know that it mattered a great deal to Eddie that he could beat Vince. And so they arranged for a real game the next day. And that's the end of the movie. He breaks. I'm back. That's it. End of the movie.
God.
Yeah. So you didn't love it.
I didn't love it, and I don't mean thank God that was the end. I liked where it ended because I couldn't survive watching Tom Cruise win again.
Sure.
Truly. But I also didn't want the cheesiness of Paul Newman winning,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Ended at the perfect moment. That's all we needed. I'm back.
Because that's all he needed.
Gorgeous cut on his face.
Yeah. Yeah. All we needed and all Eddie needed was to be back, and he feels it now in ways that he didn't in the entire movie. And that's the climax of the film. And that's great. So,
no, all right. I didn't love it. When I heard the voiceover in the very beginning, that's when I texted you and said, "Is this Rounders? Cool?"
And the answer is kinda.
Yeah, very much so. Except, at least in Rounders, we do at some point, I think, get some explanation, whereas I don't think I ever once heard the term color of money or any discussion of the color of money. We hear the smell of money, but not the color.
Yeah. No, the color of they talked about the color of the whiskey in the very beginning and how that matters. Yeah, I don't think this was one where like you needed to be like explained what the title of the movie is. Like,
I always wanted explained.
Do you? I don't know.
That's
I don't
my flaw.
Character trait.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But did you understand the game? Did you understand 9-ball?
Sort of. I have never played 9-ball. But it seems like you want 9 to be the last one on just like 8, correct? But you have less balls on the table?
Kinda. So, when you're playing 8-ball, you got stripes and solids, You're supposed to clear all of yours out and then put in the 8 ball. Like that's the object of the game. In 9 ball, you're playing just with the 9 balls, not the full 15.
Okay.
And you have to hit them in order.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you have to hit the one, and then but you don't have to put the one in. You can hit the one into the 9 and win the game
Oh,
because you hit the one, and the person who puts the 9 in is the winner. It doesn't matter how many total you get in. If you put the 9 ball in per the rules by hitting an earlier ball, the proper ball in first, then you win.
okay.
So that's how you play 9 ball. And so you can, and also if you put it in off the break, you win.
Okay.
In 8 ball, if you put the 8 ball in off the break, you lose. So
Yes.
it's different. But yeah, that's what it is. It's fun. 9 ball's fun. So they didn't do a good enough job explaining it to you for you to because it's not very complicated, but
No.
they explain it, but they do it pretty quick, and they do it with a lot of cross cuts and lots of banging and all that kind of stuff.
It's early Scorsese.
I don't know. It's mid. Is it early? I feel like it's borderline mid.
I'm being nice to him.
Yeah, this is not. I don't think this is anyone's favorite Scorsese movie, but
It's really slow,
hmm.
and Vincent is so unlikable, which I don't see why that would be the point. You can have someone, you can have an overly confident, I'm hitting the table. You can have an overly confident protagonist
Mm-hmm.
and still root for them, or at least I feel like he needed to be more likable. And, I don't think that's Tom Cruise's problem. People love him somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's the movie star that got people back into movies or
Mm-hmm.
back into the movie theaters.
Yeah.
So, I think this kind of role is perfect for him because he does have that insane confidence.
You know what he's got? You ready for this? Watch out, Riz.
Oh no.
That's right. I did it. Gen X, straight using Riz in a sentence. What up? That's what he's got.
Okay.
And he's got a fucking smile. I mean, that smile. It
I
takes
want to
over the whole
slap him.
screen.
I want to slap him every time. Anytime he grinned, I was like, that is the
Yeah.
most punchable face.
I mean,
I don't
he
know what
is.
Carmen saw in him.
Yeah, he is very dislikable in this movie.
Yeah.
But he does. But he takes over the screen, and you
Oh
can't
yeah.
take your eyes off this guy, which is why, the charisma that he has, the Riz guys. What's up? I did it again. Is so present, and it is. That's what Paul Newman was in the 50s and 60s. When Paul Newman was Tom Cruise's age, he ate everything. He was a black hole of attention. You just couldn't not, you couldn't avoid giving him your eyeballs. And so I think it's really, that's part of why this movie I think was exciting for people when it came out, was it's Scorsese, it's Paul Newman, the biggest star of his generation, with Tom Cruise, the biggest star of our current upcoming generation,
Mm-hmm.
and getting to see them. And I loved watching them play off each other.
Yeah.
To see, it's like that, when Bing Crosby and David Bowie sing Christmas songs together.
Oh, nice.
That, it's just that's the old guard. This is the new guard. Now both of the guards are old and gone in that case. But that passing of the torch thing is pretty. It's pretty cool, and that's the point of the movie. Well, it's the point of the movie, kinda. Until the point of the movie is very much give me back my torch.
Yeah.
So did you like this better than Rounders?
I liked looking at Paul Newman for 2 hours. I don't. Okay. I don't know what. I don't know why now. Maybe it was the glasses or something, but like I didn't know I carried such a torch for Paul Newman until
Uh-huh.
watching this movie. And maybe it's also putting him next to someone I despise so much as Tom Cruise that just
Sure.
but yeah, I honestly don't know which I liked better. I think Rounders was probably overall more it was a better written story. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Uh, but The Color of Money was a sport that I like, and uh,
Mm-hmm.
boy, did I realize how bad I am. Like I knew I was bad at pool because I
Right.
never did play it enough.
Mm-hmm.
But like, whew, oh, I'm bad.
Yeah.
But then also getting to watch Paul Newman the whole time, I'm just like, little
Yeah.
girl at a sleepover, hands on her
Yep.
or face on her
And
hands. You all can hear it.
you're yep. And you're ready to do the Paul Newman deep dive if we can find a way.
Absolutely.
That's
I realized earlier, I think this is the first time I've ever had this thought. But, this is inappropriate actor Leslie speaking right now. If I got cast in a movie with Paul Newman, but also knowing what I know now, so I'm messing with the timelines here. We're back in
sure.
time, but I know what I know about being a proper actor, an appropriate one.
Got it. Got
I
it.
could not say yes to this role because I would be trying to get with him the whole time. I would be like, listen, I know in the story it would cheapen it to have Carmen and Fast Eddie get together, but like, come
Right.
on.
Mm-hmm.
How else am I going to get this man to make out with me?
That's right. You have
Oh,
priorities, and I
I
understand
at
that.
least get him to shove me against a wall. Okay, I'll take. No, I can't.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I'm calling HR on myself now. I'll see myself out. Bye. Yeah,
That's fair.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Sorry, everyone.
I like that you have the restraint to take yourself out of the situation.
Thank you, because I'm that good.
Well, and Fast Eddie had the restraint, right?
Boy,
Like
how.
she's clearly doing some stuff in these. When he comes into the hotel, into their hotel room, and she's in the shower, coming out of the shower naked with the door open, and the camera lingers there, and
Yeah.
her eyes linger on him. Like
Mm-hmm.
she's very much saying, "Look at me. Like this is on purpose. Look at me."
She's
And then
using her womanly wiles.
she is. And then she tries it a little bit later, and that's when he throws her up against the wall, and he's like, "Don't fuck with me. This is business."
I know.
Which I liked that.
I did too.
Not the throwing her up against the wall part, but the part where he's like, "That's not what we're here for. Get your fucking head in the game."
I'm not your daddy. I'm not your boyfriend. I'm your partner. No, I thought
Yeah.
that speech was great. Yeah, no, I thought
And
that was a cool moment. Again, and not for the violence of it, but again, from the storytelling aspect,
mhm.
it worked.
Yeah. Yeah. And it does away with the possibility of that muddying the story.
Yes.
Because if that line isn't drawn, then the audience is going to be kind of like wondering if that's what's happening here too. Like if they're
Yeah.
fighting over her, or I mean, because that's very much not the story. But get it out of the way, and get it out of the way in a way that really drives character home.
Yeah. It's a good way to deal with distracting chemistry. Not that they knew I mean, I'm sure when they wrote it and were casting, they hoped that
Hmm.
the actors would have good chemistry, but like, I'm just going to start jumping into Adventures in Intimacy if your game.
Yeah, go ahead.
But like, they do have astounding chemistry. Um, and
Who? Which of the three? All
Carmen
of them?
and Fast Eddie, no.
Okay.
Like, the only thing I did not like the intimacy in this movie I didn't think it was particularly interesting. It
Mm.
was all very much like cheap shots. And I mean, she can use her womanly wiles without having to like, I'm sorry, I'm going to say it, unnecessarily flash us. Like
Hmm.
it just it looks it's weird. It's kind of like in Die
Mm.
Hard when there's I'm sure most people have forgotten this, but like when the terrorists are first taking over, uh,
Hmm.
or like grabbing people, there's a couple about to do it in another room, and the woman's
Hmm.
just like grabbing, trying to cover herself, and like
Yeah.
it's it's stupid, but it's
Hmm.
all the like, well, how else are we gonna? Ember's mad about it too.
I get it,
Listen,
Amber.
we love boobs. Boobs are beautiful, but I want them to make sense in the story.
Yeah.
And
I
again, I think it just makes her look bad at what she's doing too. And I think she's
yeah.
smarter than that.
Yeah. I think it makes more sense in this movie than it makes in uh, Die Hard because it's
Absolutely.
like she's very much sending a very blatant message. Yeah, in this
But
movie.
I think we could have gotten that message just fine with
Yeah.
in a few more clothes, or even again just like it can be in a look. It can be in, you know, she's changing and gets caught before she takes anything off. It's just like
Hmm.
make it make sense,
But
you
here's
know.
the counterpoint. Then we don't get to see her boobs.
I know.
And
I don't think we
I
saw them in
prefer.
the best light, quite honestly. I don't
Well, bathroom
I
light's harsh.
exactly. So I think we could have seen them in a better way.
Hmm.
If you know, for the people
Okay.
who feel like it did advance the story for them.
It
Um
advanced my prepubescence.
but yeah,
Be real.
hold on. I wrote down a moment.
Mm.
I think the first kiss between oh no,
Oh,
I
there was
said
he did lead with his tongue.
oh, ugh.
Yeah.
I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Hmm. Yeah, that was a straight tongue lead. Um, what about the scene and the scene after the scene where they're doing the two strangers, where he's pretending and his hands on her ass and all that stuff, and then the argument that they have about it afterwards, like, don't you ever watch movies?
Oh, I loved that.
Okay.
Um I'm trying to think what exactly he says because I said something like that more or less to another actor in a show once. So, okay, brief story. Uh, back in high school, I had to kiss an ex-boyfriend in a play,
Ah,
and you know, obviously, before intimacy choreographers, before we had any proper adult leading us,
right.
and I noticed he was starting to act weird in the moment.
Mm.
And so I asked him about it. I was like, "What's going on?" And he said, "I just feel like you're getting too into it." And I went, "Kyle, I'm putting him on blast. Kyle, it's called acting.
Right.
I don't want to get back with you. You don't want to get back with me. Let's just make out on stage."
Right. Right.
Now, people, I would not endorse saying something like that now,
Right.
but I
Especially if the
was
person's name isn't Kyle.
yeah, but I was
That would be
17 and
confusing.
I was advocating for acting. So, yeah, I mean, I stand with I wish I had the speech in front of me because I don't remember exactly what was said, but it's true. Like it's acting. What they're doing now? Granted, and it seems like they agreed as characters what they were going to do,
Hmm.
and that's what it needs to be. It's a job. Like
Yeah.
you're not doing this because you want to, or at least how do I explain it?
Yeah, I mean,
You
it's a performance.
you shouldn't do it's not about your physical wants. It's about your wants as the character. But
Hmm.
again, you have to consider the other person. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking through the quotes, trying to
that's okay.
see if I can find it. But yeah, I mean, it basically is the message is don't be a rube. Like,
Yeah.
we're all in there playing a part, and you, you know what it is. There's this. We've talked about wrestling terminology before, and the idea of it. trying to look like a fight while not being a fight, right? So there's two types of contact in wrestling, or two types of emotions also. There's a shoot and a work. Shoot is for real. Like
Mm,
if I hit you with a shoot punch, I punched you. I really punched you. But if I've got a working punch, it looks like I punched you, but I didn't. Like I protected you. And there's that's part of what makes wrestling interesting is that sometimes there's a very definite blurring of the lines between those two things. Like if they're good, if they're really good, they can sell you on the fact that they just got hurt.
yeah.
Like you buy into the work. But sometimes what happens is two guys are in there working together who don't like each other. Like
Yeah.
really don't like each other. And they kind of start to buy into the story that they're telling. And so they've worked themselves into a shoot.
Got it.
Right? They believe the bullshit so much that now they're actually fighting.
Mm,
And
yeah. Okay.
that's what Vincent does here. He works himself into a shoot. Like he's believing the story that Eddie and Carmen are telling so much that he forgets he's in a damn play.
Which is why you need to incorporate, or you have to let people know in your scene, like you tap in or you check in with each other before it starts. That way everyone knows what's going to happen, and let
Yep.
you know we're at work now. It's really sad how often we have to remind people it's acting, even
Mm-hmm.
people within the acting world, because I'm just now remembering, like, oh, a lot of the times I've been harassed backstage are because I'm playing like a, you know, a fast woman, and it's like,
Right. Right.
I'm acting. Why are you confusing the two?
Because they worked themselves into a shoot. Wrestling has great terminology.
It
Like
does. I
it's a very specific thing to have to describe, but they do it in like 3 words. You
Amazing.
know? Yeah. So, um, okay. Anything else in Adventures in Intimacy?
I thought of this earlier when you were talking about Eddie talking to his girlfriend that we didn't know was his
Uh huh.
girlfriend, and how they have this very flirtatious moment that we don't know. And it also can kind of look like, oh, he's just another salesman
Mm
hitting on this woman at work.
hmm. Mm hmm.
It reminded me of in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid when we first meet. I always forget her name in the movie.
Oh, I can't.
But you know who I'm talking
Yep.
about. When we first meet the
Yeah.
young woman, but and she's being forced to strip down, and then all of a sudden Sundance goes over to her and she's like, "Well, it's about time," and you realize they're together.
Right. Catherine Ross.
Catherine Ross. It's such a well-crafted moment,
Yeah.
and you get to be rewarded for it later.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I thought that was cool.
That is pretty cool. Um. All right. Let's. I have so many more things I want to talk about, but we can cram them into what else time.
Okay.
Um. But what? Let's take a dance through Needle Drop Forest. This has a great soundtrack,
Yeah,
which is
that's a good
not.
one.
It's not. That's not abnormal for Scorsese. That's a thing he does.
Mm-hmm.
Like he. You know, when's Gimme Shelter gonna play? Like he's big into his Rolling Stones needle drops. Have you seen Goodfellas, by the way?
I have not.
Ooh, that's high end Scorsese. This is
Yeah.
mid. This is mid Scorsese. That's high end octane shit. But to me, like, there's two songs that come to mind most when I think of this, and it's the Clapton song. It's in the way that you use it,
Mm.
and but the real big one is Warren Zevon's Werewolves of London.
Yes.
Like that whole scene with him dancing, his hair was perfect. Like I've never heard that song and not done that.
Oh, nice.
You can't, like, you have to do the Vincent hair smoothing thing when at that line in the song. You can't. it's too iconic, you know.
Yeah.
And the even and and that scene is so burned in my brain with like the black shirt with Vince
Yeah.
across it, and I didn't remember why he's wearing the Vince T-shirt, but it's just like it's so aesthetically perfect
Yeah.
for like this character with this attitude playing pool, doing the wrong thing, strutting around, just showing his ass with a T-shirt with his own name on it
Yeah.
is so perfect. And the fact that he's wearing it, one, because it was his uniform at the toy store or like the
Yeah.
baby store that he used to work in, and also because Eddie says you should put the shirt on with your name, it makes you look like a flake. And it's like that scene is so good, it almost like you could almost forgive any other sins in the movie because of that scene with that T-shirt and that song and that choreography to it, and the fact that but I think that both of them had to learn to play pool to shoot this movie because
I
there's
would
a
think
lot of
so.
shots
Yeah.
where like they're not faking these shots, they're not cutting away so that you don't like you're seeing the whole thing happen.
Yeah.
Uh, and it's I mean there's a shit ton of cutting away at different parts. The way that he shoots this movie is brilliant,
But it's
but
very clear that they played and they made
yeah,
some decent hits. Like,
they make some really hard shots. Yeah,
yeah. Oh man, the sound
and
of the crack. Oh my
uh-huh.
god. It's I don't know about you, but I mean there are just sounds in this world that are so amazing, and that's one of
Hmm.
them.
Yeah,
The other one is the gate opening on Derby Day.
nice.
I love
Yeah,
that.
no, that's a good one. That's a good sound. Um,
They're free.
so what about the music landed for you? Because for me, it's just that whole scene is perfect.
Yeah, Werewolves of London stuck out to me the most because I have heard that song.
Hmm.
Um, but it livens up a scene.
Hmm.
And uh, I mean, I think it's an interesting choice because, I feel like Werewolves in London is just, werewolves, like they've become acclimated to being human. Uh,
Right.
but this guy,
Drinking a pina colada at Trader Vic's. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But in this, it seems more like maybe a werewolf is a type of person we don't like, and he's among us, and he's a monster.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, stay away from him. He'll rip your lungs out, Jim. I'd like to meet his tailor.
I mean, if it's
Yeah,
Fast Eddie doing it, I'm okay with it.
yeah. The other part that I think that is part of why I mean that song tonally and thematically really works because like it's like the wolf in sheep's clothing walking around, you know.
Yeah,
Um, but it's also the percussive nature of that song, the dun 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 dun, like, and the the beat of it matches with playing pool. Like you can cut to that song, you can edit to that song perfectly for
yeah,
this circumstance, and it is like even just talking about it, it gets me kind of. It's a little bit Eye of the Tiger, you know.
yeah,
Like it's just one of those songs that gets you kind of pumped, and it's deployed perfectly here,
yeah.
like his hair.
Okay, he thinks.
That we watched this movie. It was the first time that Laura had seen it. She's like, "What is going on with that haircut?"
Oh my god! And I know we're gonna get a Brandon style like that at some point. Like, it's astonishing to me the
Mm-hmm.
hair that
Goes up so
existed
high.
in the 80s and 90s. Like,
Yeah, I don't think
yeah,
people looked at this and thought Vincent has a ridiculous haircut. They looked at this and thought, "God damn, Tom Cruise is hot."
he's so cool with his crooked
Yeah.
front teeth.
Yep. And just shit eating grin the whole time.
God, that is I've often been confused by that expression, but no, he is the picture definition of
Mhm.
shit
Yeah.
eating grin.
Yep. Yeah. I think he's really good in this though. Like
He is. He
That's
is.
the like the
Because a lot of my annoyance is really with the character. Like,
sure,
Tom Cruise aside, this character is really fucking annoying. Like, I hate
sure,
this guy. I've hated
yeah.
this guy my whole life. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Arrogance has been a turnoff since I dated that boy Kyle that I just referenced.
Fuck Kyle.
Fuck Kyle.
Kyle just catching strays, doesn't even know it.
He doesn't. He never will. Uh, talk about. Oh man, he totally had the hair thing going for him too.
Oh, see, there you go.
Don't trust a guy who is always flipping his hair, touching his hair. Just don't. Um,
You hit my hair. I work hard on my hair, and you hit it. You hit my hair. So you're not a Saturday Night Fever guy either,
absolutely not. Man, that guy's awful.
huh? Kind of the same haircut.
But better because it's not as high.
True, that's true. So, one of the things the thing that strikes me just sort of about the story of this movie is it's it's told from the perspective of experience, right?
Yes.
Like it's very much a youth is wasted on the wrong people kind of thing. Like Fast Eddie's like, I fucked this up when I was young, and I'm trying to teach this kid not to be such a chucklehead.
Yeah.
But he can't turn, like, he doesn't know when to flake off. He's just constantly flake. And he's like, I fucking can't stand this kid. I need, like, I can do this. Youth is wasted on the wrong people. I'm old. He was 60 in this movie, like when he shot this movie. And so it's like, it's not like he's a guy in his mid 40s trying to teach a 20-year-old. He's a guy who's 60 trying to teach a 20-year-old and going, I could still do it better than this guy.
Yeah.
And that's where you like you realize that what the movie is. You know, it's Fast Eddie recapturing his love of this thing, his fire to go back out and do it. You know, recapturing his youth with his current level of experience.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's interesting. It was missed on me obviously when I was 10 because, you know, Vince had perfect hair, you know. I also think there's a little bit something to the you taught me too well.
Oh.
You know, like I learned all the lessons you taught me, Eddie. Here's your money. Like you taught me how to kill you.
Oof.
And so I did. You know, it's very much, yeah. It's very much the. All right, I'm spoiling this for you, but it doesn't matter. It's not a spoiler. It's just great. At the end of Rocky 3, okay, everyone knows what I'm talking about who's seen Rocky. But in the first two movies, Rocky and Apollo are adversaries.
Yes.
In the third movie, Apollo steps in to train Rocky for reasons that I just don't want to tell you what they are because we're going to watch Rocky 3
He stole his girlfriend.
So he steps in and he trains Rocky for this comeback fight. And he said, but remember, Stallion, you owe me a favor. And he's like, what favor? And then at the end of the movie, the two of them are they're in their full boxing gear, getting into a ring to fight. Like, you know, remember, Stallion, when you beat me last time, it was by 1 second. 1 second is very hard for a man of my intelligence to handle. Well, I thought you said you learned how to live with it. I lied. Oh, you lied. So like they're going to have a little sparring match. And he said, how are you going to beat me, Apollo? You taught me everything you know. And he said, almost everything, Stallion. You got to remember, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter.
Huh.
And that's what this was. Fast Eddie is like, no, you fight great, but I'm a great fighter.
Wow.
Like, that's why I'm going to beat you. And we never see how, and just like the end of Color of Money, we don't see how that fight with Rocky and Apollo ends because the movie ends where they're punching each other.
Nice.
It's a great, it's like, ding, and it turns into a painting. It's visually, it's very fun. So that this is a little bit, the end of this movie is a little bit like the end of Rocky 3.
Mm.
And all movies should be like Rocky 3 as far as I'm concerned.
Wow. Okay.
It's pretty great.
Sounds like a T-shirt.
Yeah, all movies should be like Rocky 3. Hey, woman. Hey, woman. Why
Oh
don't you bring
no.
your pretty little self down here? It's my Mr. T. All right. What else time? What What else do you have and what else?
Oh gosh. I mean, I feel like I've one. I mean, people have already talked to me or heard me sweat over Paul Newman enough, so I don't need to. I don't need to be called out for that more. Um, I've inserted every other thought I feel like I have on
Okay.
this. So I'm curious
All right.
what you have for what else.
Um, the two things that I had for what else were, and we talked about it a little bit, but just the value of a reputation.
Mm,
Because that's all of the ability to make money in this in nine ball is based on your reputation. You know, you're not going to get people betting heavily one way or the other if they have a firm fix on who you are. They need to have a firm fix on the story you're telling, but not really who you are. So
do you think Paul Newman would have liked the Reputation album
I have not heard the Reputation album. What do you think?
by
I
Taylor
couldn't tell you.
Swift? You
No, I
watched
know
it
what it
today.
is. I know, but
Oh,
I
okay.
don't. I mean, I don't remember anything. I know it's like the Australian Constitution. It's the vibe of the thing.
It's the part with snakes.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, I don't remember the reputation. I mean, I know there is an album and an era. An era. That's, you know what? That's my only pushback against Taylor Swift. Not every album is an era. That's ridiculous. I mean, I get it from a branding standpoint, but that's kind of
wow.
ridiculous. I would rather say the Reputation album, not the Reputation era.
I
Please.
mean, well, listen, the only time we don't need a differentiation between the eras is between Folklore and Evermore, because really that's just the pandemic era. But no one
Right.
wants to remember that.
I remember it. I rejected their like.
But do you remember it all too well?
No, I remember it all too faintly, but that might also be all too well. Um, I don't know. That's a like. It's a little bit like saying the Rubber Soul era and the Revolver era. Like both of those came out in 1966. Like it's the same year. Shut up. It's not an era. It's a year.
Or the Let It Be and the Abbey Road, like they're
Right. That's yeah. It is, I
both
mean,
the
that's
Die
okay.
album.
Like if you want to say early, mid, late, okay. Like I can group things that way. But that every album is an era. I don't know.
You
The
just
Aerosmith Pump era.
That's because no one else has had as excitingly different costumes. I shouldn't say no one else. Plenty of other people have had fun, different looks. Beyonce has a different look every album. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just fun.
I get it. I mean, knock yourself out, but era. It's a little silly. But tell me, how do you think Fast Eddie would have liked the Reputation album?
Oh gosh, I'm sure he would have tolerated it. He would have liked the message more. I
Mm-hmm.
think. I think he would have really gotten down to "Look what you made me do." Um,
Yeah,
yeah, like I can totally see that playing over the montage of him getting back into the game. Like,
yeah, yeah. Or like that scene that they cut where he and Carmen actually do it.
I rose it from the dead. I do it all the time. I'm not
Yeah,
a
I think
Swiftie, I promise.
no, you
I
can.
really like her music.
That's fine. I don't know. I mean, I
I
know
don't
like
know all
an
the Easter eggs, like
right.
I don't have that much time or energy.
Yeah,
It's a fun
we,
distraction for me.
yeah. We need to watch 90210 instead.
Oh,
A
okay.
much more reasonable distraction.
Wow. Okay.
No, whatever. All distractions are equally ridiculous and fun.
Yes,
You
they
know,
are.
like yours is just as valid as mine. I don't care what it is. Have fun.
I know.
Um, but I just don't want to. I don't know. The idea that every album is an era seems like a little bit much to me.
For sure, because they're not all they're not all of equal brilliance, or even they're not
Sure.
all brilliant. Like they're just like any band. There's going to be albums you like. There's going to be albums you don't like.
Hmm.
Um, at least for me, I can't think of one artist that I love every single album that they've done.
I can for me, but
Yeah,
the Beatles,
sure.
it's all of them. But even REM, there's a couple that I don't love, you know. So, but no, they're not eras. Whatever, it doesn't matter. All right, what is your EST for this movie?
Oh man, the hottest old man movie.
Hottest. Okay, very nice.
Oh my god! Like, so remember back when Obama was leaving office and we got all the Biden memes, and
Yeah,
one of
yeah, yeah,
them was
yeah.
him putting on the aviators and doing
Uh huh.
thumbs
Yeah.
up. Makes me laugh and smile every time. Uh, this was hot Biden. Like this was this Paul Newman was giving us Biden before we even like. I mean, yeah, we knew who he was because he existed at that time. But like
Right.
he gave us not only I feel like a version of aviators. They're like the '70s version, but
Uh
they're
huh.
brown and
Mm
just I don't know how to describe these sunglasses, but they did it for me. And then I mean the
hmm.
mustache on top of it all. My God,
Mm
Sundance
hmm.
who?
Right. Yeah.
I
Now this
wasn't
one did
totally
it for you, and I like it.
yeah. So I'm gonna say hottest old man movie that we've watched so far.
Okay. I'm going to go with this is the best movie ever brought to you by the American Optometric Association.
Yes.
Because it's amazing what the proper prescription lenses will do for a person. Like Fast Eddie he went from not being able to see I don't know the 6 from the 9 to just killing it. And it was
I
really
know.
just I just needed a pair of glasses, guys. Like
Yeah.
this is like the biggest glasses carry more the most weight in this than anything other than that episode of the Twilight Zone with Burgess Meredith.
Mm.
Oh, you don't know it? I can tell you don't know
Nope.
it. It's called All the Time in the World, and it's about a guy who finds himself in a post-apocalyptic land, and all he's ever wanted to do is read. And the library
Oh,
still exists.
wait, it does or
And
doesn't?
it does. So he
Okay.
has all the time in the world to read all of the books that he could ever want to read, and then his glasses break. Right? It's it's a horror movie. Like everyone feels it so hard when those
I thought
glasses
I was
break.
getting my dream world for a minute, and then you reminded me it's Twilight Zone. No
It's
one is
Twilight Zone.
happy.
Yeah, right? Is that like not the most torturous thing you've ever heard? I can tell by your face that it is.
I am. Okay, yeah. I've been like in a hyper reading phase, and of course, I don't
Mm,
get enough time to do it.
yeah,
So yeah, I'm in agony thinking about this.
yeah, it's brutal. Yeah. So that's the piece of cinema that's where glasses are carrying the most weight. But man, there's a lot of work being done by a solid prescription set of lenses in this one.
Yep.
So, uh, anything else that we need to get into for Color of Money?
The use of women in sports movies. You know,
That's an interesting one here because she doesn't play the normal role.
no, but she's a variation on a theme because
Hmm.
I mean, at least she gets adequate screen time
Mm-hmm.
and you know gets to. She's definitely not the typical supportive partner in all this. Like she's got her own angle.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't get to explore it, unfortunately.
I mean, I think most of the time the wife in the sports movie is just a fucking wet blanket.
Yeah.
You know, it's just dragging everything down, and just uh, just kind of harshing the mellow of the of our
It's unfair to
star.
wet blankets everywhere.
It kind of is. And she's not that. Like in this,
No.
she's a driver of business. You know, she's the smart one. She's the brains of the operation. She's still sidelined. You know, her job
Oh,
is still to
yeah.
sit off to the side and cheer on her man or whatever.
Blow on his stick.
Yeah.
And that's not a new euphemism.
Or is it?
Or,
It's very
oh
hard to
God,
say.
it's very, I also don't see why she tolerates him, but,
Yeah. I mean, but she's a criminal. That's how she was the getaway driver, right? Like,
smooth criminal.
yeah. Boom, boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, boom. Eddie, are you okay? Um, all right, so I think we have once again proved my theory that everything comes back to Aaron Spelling.
I think you're right.
Good job, us.
Yay!
So, join us next week, Boozemeisters, when look, next week we had to stretch a little bit because next week we're dealing with cousin Bobby, right? And cousin Bobby's in a wheelchair because of a skiing accident. So we either could have gone with a skiing movie, I suppose, even though we never saw him ski,
Yeah.
or we could have gone with a movie about stairs because that was a big deal in this cousin Bobby situation, or we could have chosen a movie with a character in a wheelchair. And so we sort of pushed our way towards that last one a little bit. And you suggested My Left Foot, and I went, "Oh boy, that feels real heavy."
Yeah, it does.
I'm not sure I can do that. So I suggested something not quite as heavy, a movie about the total destruction of the world by the hands of incompetent impotence and the access to the button. We are going to watch Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb, which is a movie you have not seen,
Correct.
a movie I have seen a number of times. This movie's fucking funny.
I
It
can't wait.
is. It's very smart funny. You might want a second screen experience some of the things that are being said in this because you won't get all of them. I had to have a lot of this movie explained to me.
Oh, okay.
Like after like the third time I'd seen it, it was brought up in a class, and I was like, I didn't get any of that. Okay, like
Nice.
it's one impotency joke after another. I mean, everyone involved in the nuclear arms race is accused of just being a wet noodle,
Nice.
and over again, and it's very funny. So, yeah, we're gonna watch Doctor Strangelove, which I'm really kind of excited about. I haven't watched it in a while,
Great.
and it'll be interesting to see your take on it. Are you a Kubrick fan? Have you seen a lot of Kubrick?
I don't think I have. And it's one of those. See, this is the challenging world we live in because I don't necessarily want the artist tainting the art for me.
Uh-huh.
But he's one of those because of the more we learn about him, the harder it is to watch his stuff. But I know he's done I know he's created some incredible art. So I'm excited to watch this. I feel like I've seen at least one Stanley Kubrick film, but I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, you don't like horror movies, but
No.
but have you seen The Shining?
No.
Okay. How about Clockwork Orange?
No, I've been told not to watch it.
You probably wouldn't enjoy that.
It ruins Singing in the
2000.
Rain, so why would I do that?
That's true.
No, 2001.
No, 2001. Eyes Wide Shut.
Nope, but I've heard there's a great scene in that.
There's a bunch of stuff in that movie. That movie's called "I'm Gonna Make Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman get divorced."
Fuck.
It's a lot going on in that one. And then Doctor Strangelove, Full Metal Jacket.
No. Wow. Maybe I haven't seen any of them.
There's a few things that I didn't mention because they're things that I haven't seen. Like I haven't seen Barry Lyndon. I know it exists, but I haven't seen it. But all the ones that I just mentioned, I'd seen. I like Kubrick stuff. It's pretty interesting. And this one is the funniest of all of them. Yeah, this one's the funniest of all of them. Like there's some laugh out loud stuff in Doctor Strangelove.
Of
Um,
course he did Lolita.
oh yeah. I haven't seen that either.
Gross, man. I've read it. I didn't like it.
Yeah, I haven't. I know what it's about, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you know.
All right. Well, until then, booze meisters.
Cheers.
Cheers.